Hello guys, welcome to another video of Azure DevOps. In this video, we are going to discuss about classic pipelines. We will be covering each and everything for classic pipelines. We will be discussing both release and build pipelines. We will be creating these pipelines from scratch. Generally, if you don't have or if you are not expert in DevOps or you don't have much idea of YAML pipelines, this is what you can use. You can use classic pipelines to build and deploy your code into your test QA or production environment. Okay, so even if you don't have a proper YAML knowledge or if you are not worked in DevOps, if you are a developer, you can watch this video to get understanding of the pipeline which you can use to deploy your code. Okay, so classic pipeline generally don't need the full understanding of YAML or YAML configuration language. You generally get the UI to create your pipeline. So let's begin the video. We'll be covering each and everything about classic release pipelines. Okay, so let's first start with the build pipeline because the first step is to build the pipeline. Whenever you created your committed your code, suppose this is let me check another repository. Yeah, suppose this ADF-01, this is your repository and this is your main branch. If you are a developer or a DevOps engineer, you did create one PR. Suppose you created this feature branch. You made your changes in this feature branch and created a pull request from this feature branch to the main branch. And suppose your code has been merged to this main branch. Now, what should happen? Generally, there should be one build pipeline which should be triggered automatically once you have merged the code to main branch, right? So let's build that pipeline. Okay, now we will be creating one build pipeline which should be triggered automatically from main branch. You can either call that as continuous integration. Generally, we call continuous integration same as build pipeline. That means whenever developer has merged the code or made some commit, the pipeline should automatically trigger and build the code. Okay, so we'll be just checking the changing the repository because generally this is not the build pipeline which we should be using. Generally, we should be using some .NET or Java package one. So let me use the, I don't think I have any .NET repository. So let me just select this Java one as well. You can select Java and other packages as well. Let me check if I have .NET, then we can use the .NET one. Let's select the Java. Suppose this is my Java code and I want to build this. And I need to create this build pipeline. You have merged the code in this main branch, and whenever you made the change, our build pipeline should trigger and automatically build this Java code. Let's go to pipeline now. To build the pipeline, click on new pipeline, select your repository. Not the repository, this is for YAML pipeline. If you want to use a classic pipeline, just use this classic editor. Click on this use the classic editor and it will open one UI and it will ask you to select the repository. So I have selected the repository, that is as pipelines-java. I think this was the my this was repository, and you'll have to select the default branch, that is main. Let's continue. You can generally select the template as well. Generally we get a lot of predefined or pre-built templates offered by Azure DevOps. Since we are using the Java project, we'll just select this Maven. Okay. Now our pipeline UI is ready, and all the tasks which are related to build the Java code are ready. You can see the Maven task is added here to build the package, and this is copying the files to this staging directory to publish the artifact into the container location or Azure pipeline location. Okay, so these tasks are automatically added. Okay, let's now see everything from here. Okay, if you click on this pipeline, you can change all the name and agent pools from here. If you want to use some self-hosted agent pools or something like that, you can select it from here. So let's use the Azure pipelines for this. If you want to just add the agent specification, suppose you have this Java and you want to use the Ubuntu or macOS or whatever to build this, you can select the agent specification from here. Okay, and provide the parameter file, that is pom.xml file, to build your Java code. And you can change the source from here. If you want to change the source, you can configure it. If you are using, if you want to use GitHub or any different Git repository, you can select it from here as well. Okay, this is the project name, this is the repository, this is the default branch. Okay, this is the tag source. Generally it will tag your build after every successful run. If you want to enable it, you can enable it. If you want to keep on success, it will tag your build. Let's keep it never because we don't need that. You can check other options based on the requirement, but generally you can keep these as default because these are not much of importance. The important thing are the repository and source selection and branch selection. So we already have done that. If you click on this agent job, this is one agent job. Generally we add in classic pipelines. You can add multiple jobs as well by clicking on this three button here. There are generally two types of job in classic release pipeline. You can see this is the agent job, which is like this. You can add multiple tasks in one job, and as agent job is nothing but the job which runs on a agent pool. We have added this agent pool, that Azure pipelines, as right. So all the jobs will be running inside this agent pool. If you are adding agentless job, this type of job does not require any agent to be configured. Okay, they can be directly running without any agent pool. You can add agentless job as well. Suppose you want to delay some pipeline, or you want to invoke some Azure function which generally does not require any agent pool. You can add this type of task. Suppose you did something here and you want your manual team to validate something before next step or next job is running. You can add manual validation as well. So it will notify all the users, and unless once they validate and approve it, you can just enable it so that I mean they will be able to check the validate everything whatever you did in this job, and once they approve it, it will proceed further. So like this, you can add multiple tasks as well in this. And suppose you want to delay this pipeline for few minutes, you can add this delay task, so this will delay your job or delay your pipeline. So like this, you can add the agentless job as well in classic release pipeline. Right now we don't need it, so let's remove it. I just showed you this just for the demo purpose. Okay, let's now click on agent job and see about other properties. Generally we get many things inside this agent job. We can uh, specify many properties. If you have worked in YAML pipeline, generally we provide it inside the job property in the attributes as well. Okay, so here if you see, you get the agent pool, specify the agent pool based on the job level as well. So if you have multiple jobs, you can select different agent pools for each of them. You can add demands as well. Demands means if you are adding something, generally this should exist inside your agent machine, then only that machine will be picked. In my case, we are using maven to build the package. So this, when we selected this maven pom.xml, This demand is automatically added that the agent machine, this pipeline should have this one installed. Then only this pipeline or this task will succeed, right? That's why this demand is automatically added. Suppose you need something else, like you need Git to be installed, then you can add that setting. If you need .NET to be installed in agent machine, you can add that demand, so that first the pipeline will check if those things are already installed in the agent machine or not. If not installed, then it will not pick that agent until demand is not met. Agent will not be picked. Okay. Now you can add this. You can use this parallelism feature as well. If you don't want to run the task inside in parallel, you can just keep none. Or if you want to run pipelines, run this job parallelly based on these two setting like multi-agent or multi-configuration, you can use these properties as well. In some of the case, like if you want to run same job in multiple agents, like if you are running some automation test and you want your test to run in multiple computers, you can specify it so that the same job will be running on multiple things. Okay. Like this, if you want to run the job based on the configuration, you can add some multiplier based on some variable. You can add this multiplier on the variables, and based on that, it will run your job in multiple agents and parallelly. Okay, so we don't need it right now, so let's keep it none. These are some advanced level configuration. Generally, you don't use these much in your day-to-day task because most of the things generally run in sequence. If you are creating normal build and release pipeline, almost everything should be running in the sequence. So generally, we don't use this feature much, but for knowledge purpose, I just have shown you. Okay. So other things are self-explanatory. If you want to specify some dependencies, you can specify it. Since this is first job, you're not getting any dependencies. If you have created another agent job here in that, you will be able to specify the dependency for that. Okay. You can check this box if you are using OAuth token provided by Azure DevOps inside your script. Suppose you have some PowerShell script, and you are using this OAuth token to authenticate your PowerShell script with Azure DevOps. You can check this box so that that token will be available for all the tasks which are created inside this agent job. Okay, if you are not checking it and trying to use OAuth token, then your script will fail because your script will not be able to access authentication token without checking this option. Okay, now you can provide the conditions here when this job should run. Since this is first job, we are getting all these options, so you can check, you can select one of them based on the requirement. Suppose you want this job to be running when all the previous jobs are completed or successful completed, you can select the first one. If even if some previous job has failed, you can select this one, and based on your requirement, you can add custom conditions as well based on some variable. You can write the variable expression. Suppose you want to run this job based on some branch. Suppose you want to run this job only from feature branch. Based on that, you can run the variable expression. You can click on this to have more information on custom conditions. How we write that, we'll be able to check it. You can see it like this. We write the custom condition. You'll be if you scroll down, you'll be seeing more advanced type of custom conditions like this. You can add it. So this will check. No, this is not that condition. Let me scroll down. Yeah, you can add the condition like this. So this will only run if the previous job has succeeded and This do thing variable is yes. So if you have some condition like this, you can add it here inside your custom condition and variable expression. So whenever, only when that condition is met, this job will run. Otherwise, this will be skipped. Okay, so based on that conditions or like that, you can specify the custom condition and make your job run or skip. Okay, if you have to add other task, you can just click on this plus button and you can add other task as well. Apart from this, if you need to add multiple tasks inside your YAML pipeline, you can add the task from here. Since we need only these three tasks, suppose you need uh, a task to copy the Azure files, you can click on add and you can specify all the properties like source, subscription, destination and all, and select it and click on save to save this pipeline. Since we don't need it, let's remove the selected task. We are using Java to build it, so we already have these three set of tasks added by the template. Now, if you want to create a task group from your task, you just need to select all the tasks you want to create task group for. Just select three tasks and right click and just click on this create task group, so that this will create a task group and you will be able to use that task group in multiple pipelines. Okay, so we have just added all the tasks related to build our Java code. If you click on this variable, you'll be able to add variables related to this pipeline. If you need some variables which you should be using inside your task, you can add all the variables here and use it. You can check this option if you want to set this variable at queue time. Otherwise, you can keep these as default. If you want to link some variable groups, suppose you have some variable group created already and you want to link that, you can link that variable group here, so that all the variables inside this variable group will be accessible for this pipeline and you will be able to use that. You can add the triggers here now. Remember, I just had told you that whenever developer had made the commit inside this main branch, our pipeline should automatically trigger. So this is where we should be defining that how our pipeline should be triggered inside the triggers. Okay. So here we'll have to enable the continuous integration. Whenever you click on this continuous integration, you get the option, other options as well, like what should be the branch. So we just include the main branch because I want to trigger this pipeline only from main branch. If you want to add other branches as well, like if you want to trigger this pipeline from development branch as well or some other branch, you can add the branch here. In my case, I want to just trigger it from the main branch. If you want to add specify some specific path inside your repository, you can add the path as well. Suppose you want to trigger this pipeline whenever someone made the change inside this source folder only, then you can add this path. So whenever some person made this change, this pipeline will be automatically triggered. Okay, so we just need the continuous integration for main branch, not for other things. I just have enabled the continuous integration and change this branch filter to main. Okay, so we have set up the triggers, we have enabled the continuous integration. If you want to run this pipeline based on some schedule, you can add the schedule as well. Whenever this should run, you can include it. You can add branch filters here as well, like only from this branch it should take the build and at this particular time on the week this pipeline should run automatically. Based on that, you can add the schedule. You can add multiple schedules as well. If you want to run this pipeline at 6 or 2, you can add it based on your requirement. Let's delete it because we don't need schedule trigger because we are creating build pipeline, and we need the continuous integration trigger. Also, if you want to trigger this pipeline on some build completion, suppose you have another pipeline or this pipeline is dependent on that, you can just click on that pipeline so that whenever that pipeline is complete, then this pipeline should be triggered. Okay, you can add those pipelines here. You can add multiple type pipelines. So whenever these pipelines will be successfully completed, this pipeline, the pipeline which we are creating right now, will be triggered automatically. Okay, we don't need all this right now because we are setting up the continuous trigger for this pipelines-java repository, and whenever someone made the commit in main branch, this pipeline should automatically trigger, like how we have configured. We have added the branch filter as main branch, and we have checked this enable continuous integration option. Okay, let's check other options. If you want to specify other thing, like if you want to specify the build number format, you can add it. If you want to add other things, you can do it. If you want to add demands, you can add the demands as well. Okay, from here you should be able to check the history of the pipeline, who created it, who changed the last, if some change has happened, and if you want to debug that, you can go to history and you can check all the things like who changed, what has been changed, and you can restore the pipeline to previous versions as well from the history. Okay, so our pipeline has now been created. We are done, and now let's click on save and queue the pipeline. So this will save the pipeline and run it. Right now we have manually triggered this pipeline. You can see manually run by my name Ramesh Gupta, and this pipeline is running. You can see we had provided the agent pool as Azure pipelines and image as Ubuntu latest. So the same image and same pool this is using. This is looking for the agent. Once agent is available, this will proceed. Let's refresh the page. You can see the agent has been picked up. Agent name hosted agent. This is agent machine. You can see all the properties related to your pipeline here inside this initialize job task. Okay, I have added this. Since I have added this task download secret, this is looking for the secret. I think this does not exist at all. Let me cancel it and just remove that thing. So let me go to variables. I think we have added this variable group which is linked to the key vault. That's why it is looking for the variable from key vault which is not there. Let's now click on save and run. If you check it, that key vault task will not be here because we have removed it. Let it run. Meanwhile, let's go back to the repository. We are now in main branch. Let's create a feature branch and try to make one change and create the PR to test if our pipeline has been successfully triggered automatically. Let's change something in that. Just add test in here and commit it. So we have committed it, and it is asking me to create a pull request. So let's do that. Let's see if our previous run has completed or not. This has failed. Anyway, there might be some different issues related to Maven. So since we are just creating a CI pipeline, we don't need to debug further in this. Let's go ahead and create the pull request first just to check if this pipeline is being triggered automatically or not. The purpose which we created this pipeline for, to enable the continuous integration, that should serve, right? It should be triggered automatically. That means the continuous integration pipeline or build pipeline. So let's go ahead and click on create. Let's complete the pull request. This has completed the pull request, and let's go to the pipeline and refresh this page, and you can see this release has been triggered automatically. If you open that, and you can see all things, repository and the commit on which this release has triggered, and you can see the individual CI by Ramesh Gupta. In the manual trigger, it was coming as like manually triggered by Ramesh Gupta, but here this is coming as individual CI. You can check your commits as well here, like we just added this test, and this commit will be deployed if this pipeline trigger will be deployed inside your release pipeline. Okay, so this is done. Again, this will fail because we need to have some fix. Let's edit the pipeline and just add one simple task to test few things. Let's disable everything and add one simple PowerShell task so that our pipeline should be fine. It should not fail. Let's save and queue. Now this pipeline should run because we have removed the failing task. We don't need to debug that right now because that is some different issue. I have already created a Java pipeline in my previous videos. If you need more understanding of creating Maven pipelines, you can go and watch that video. But right now, since we are focusing on build and release classic pipelines, we'll be just bypassing this failure and passing this pipeline. So you can see now this pipeline is successful. So we have served one purpose. We just created this pull request to merge the code in my main branch, and suppose this is my continuous integration pipeline or build pipeline, which we just created right now, is automatically triggered after this PR is complete, and this has built our code, and our code is stored as artifact and uploaded here in that artifact. Now we need to create a release pipeline which uh, should just download this artifact and deploy that automatically to some environment, like you can say function app. Okay, so we should create a release pipeline for that. Now once this build pipeline is successful, our release pipeline should be triggered automatically as well to achieve the continuous deployment, or you can say continuous delivery. Okay, that is called continuous deployment. This build pipeline part is called as continuous integration. Once this is complete, our release pipeline should be triggered, that is called continuous deployment. So now let's focus on the continuous deployment part to create a release pipeline to deploy the artifact which we just built from this pipeline's Java repository using the build pipeline which we just created into the multiple environments. Like I'll be creating a multi-stage release pipeline which will deploy the same artifact in multiple environment, one after each in sequence or maybe in parallel as well. Okay, so to create a release pipeline, just click on the releases here and click on this new option and select this new release pipeline. If you want to just import a release pipeline, if you have the JSON, you can import it as well. Otherwise, you can directly create the release pipeline. Let's create it. It is asking to add the template. If you want to add the template, let's just add a template, or let's just create an empty job because we are just showing the pipeline for demo purpose. If you are suppose built a Java build pipeline, you can select the Java template to deploy the Java artifact. You can watch my previous videos if you need more understanding of that. Let's change the name. as this is the release pipeline for demo purpose. Now we have one stage created here. Like this you can create multiple stage. Before that, let's add the artifact here at this option, because we need to trigger this pipeline first after adding the artifact. So let's click on add an artifact. So here you can add your build pipeline, you can add your repository. If you have some different repository like GitHub as well, you can add it. Since we have build pipeline, let's add the build. This is the project, and let's select the build pipeline. Let me check what was the pipeline name by going on this pipeline. Okay, so this was the pipeline name, ADO-maven-ci. So let's come here and select the source pipeline. So this is my build pipeline, and you can select which artifact you want to select or deploy whenever this release is triggered. You can specify at the time of release creation. You can add the artifact from some specific branch, okay, or a specific version, or even the latest one. So let's keep the latest one, because generally we should be deploying only the latest ones. Okay, you can keep the source alias as default and add it. So the artifact is added now. The pipeline which we created, this build pipeline, is now added here, so that this pipeline is aware that whenever this pipeline or this artifact is ready, this should be triggered automatically. Okay, and how we enable the continuous deployment here? If you click on this button at the artifact top right of the artifact, this is the continuous deployment trigger. If you click on this enabled, this will enable your continuous deployment, and this will trigger this pipeline whenever build pipeline is successful. We just have enabled it. Now you can add the branch filters as well. Suppose you want to trigger this pipeline only when the artifact are from main branch, then you can just add the branch filters. Or if you want to trigger this pipeline for all the branches, for all the runs, you just keep this as default. Okay, let's add the main branch, so that whenever there is any build from main branch, this pipeline will be triggered automatically. You can exclude as well. Suppose you want to exclude some branch, suppose you want to exclude development branch, that whenever this build pipeline is run from development branch, this pipeline should not trigger. So you can add that, and you can exclude that as well. You can exclude, suppose you want to exclude this feature branch, that whenever uh, build is triggered from this feature branch, it should not run. Okay, you can some specify some default branch as well. Like if you want to specify all the feature branch, you can add something like this, feature slash star. So any branch starting with feature star, it will exclude, and it will not trigger the pipeline. Okay, like this you can enable the pull request trigger as well. So whenever you create the pull request workflow, this pipeline can be triggered. Let's disable it because we don't need that. We just need this continuous deployment trigger, so that whenever this build pipeline is complete, this release pipeline should trigger automatically and deploy our artifact in the stages which we will be creating. Let's close it and click on stage. So this is my stage. If you click on stage, this is one stage one. You can add multiple things, like how we were checking that in a build pipeline. You can add the agent job, you can add the agentless job, and there is another thing we get in the release pipeline, that is called as a deployment group job. This agent job and agentless job is same as whatever we discussed in build pipeline. So let's not discuss that again. Just let's focus on this deployment group job. Generally, you can create a deployment pool inside your Azure DevOps here in deployment groups, where you can install agents inside those deployment pools. Like this, there is one deployment group created. You can use this script to install the agent pool, or you can see the agent in those virtual machines or those machines, and those machines can be part of this deployment group, and you can just select the deployment group from here to deploy your artifact directly inside those virtual machines. But generally these are not much useful. Generally in most of the organization, you can say most of the projects generally don't use the deployment group. Most of the people or most of the requirements generally are for this agent job or agentless jobs. Okay, so this is the stage. You can change the stage name from here, and we have already added one agent job. You can see all every setting are almost same. We just have option to add the agent pool. We can add the demands. We can set the execution plan. We can select the artifact. If you have this artifact, generally if you keep this as default, it will download all the artifact before running the pipeline, like before running the deployment task. If you uncheck it, it will not download it. So that you will have to, if you have to download this artifact which you just have published in here, you need to add another task to download the artifact specifically. Okay, you can add the custom condition and condition here, like how we have seen in the build pipeline. You can add the task which are required to deploy your package. Suppose we just build one Java package here, and you want to deploy that. You will have to add all the tasks related to that here. Suppose let's first add this download build artifact task, so that this will download your task or download your build artifact. Select the specific build pipeline. Maven, this was our pipeline, and this will download all the artifact from our pipeline. Okay, so once you have added it, whenever you run this stage and run this job, first this will go ahead and download the artifact which we have selected here from the build pipeline, which we can specify here. And the second task we can add is the, suppose we are deploying this in function app, you can add this task to deploy your app in the function app. But we'll be removing this because we are not doing anything with this function, and if we run this pipeline, these are going to fail. So just remove it and again add one simple PowerShell task here, so that our pipeline should be complete. So we have added one agent job in the release pipeline. We can add the variables again here in the release pipeline. You can add the variable groups. In release pipeline, generally we get the option of scope as well. You can change the scope. Suppose you have multiple stages inside your release pipeline, and you added one variable, suppose test, and you want this test variable to available at release level, you can select release. Or if you want this test variable to be available just at stage 1 level, you can select the scope as stage 1, so that you will be able to use this variable only in this stage, that is stage 1. Okay, this helps to add multiple, you can see same set of variables in multiple stages. Suppose you have another test variable, and value of this test is different, suppose something like this, and you want this test variable to be available at release scope. So whenever you run this pipeline, if you are using stage 1, if you are deploying stage 1, it will pick this value, the first one. And if you are using different stage, or if you are deploying different stage inside your release, for other stages it will pick the default one, which is the this one. So make sure you are setting the scope correct inside your release pipeline before deploying it. Okay, same is the case with variable group as well. If you link it, you can change the variable group scope. You can add the release as well, and you can select the stages from here. If you add the release, it this variable group will be available at release level. If you are selecting some stages, this variable group will be available for that stage only. Okay, so make sure you are selecting the right scope before deploying your pipelines. Here we get the retention, like how many days you want to retain this release, and other options as well, like change the name and other things. If you want to integrate this with other third-party tools, like even you can report the deployment status in Azure boards as well. You can select it. If you want to report the deployment status in Jira and other things, you can do it from here. You can again see the history here, and if you want to restore your pipeline to some previous version because of some issues, like someone has made some change which is breaking the pipeline, you can restore the pipeline to previous version from here. Okay, let's now come back to task. Like build pipeline, we have option to add the task. Here you can add multiple tasks inside your agent job. You can add multiple agent jobs as well, like this is another agent job, this is another, like this you can add multiple agent job. You can add the agentless jobs as well. Okay, so based on that, like based on the grouping as well, you can add the jobs. Suppose this agent job is for one grouping, this one you can create for different purpose. Like this, you can create multiple jobs inside your stages. Let's go back and click on the pre-deployment conditions. If you just click on this option here, you get the pre-deployment condition for one particular stage. Let's click on it. First thing you get is the select trigger. You can either run this stage after the release, or you can trigger, if you want to trigger the release manually, you can keep the manual one as well. But we'll be selecting the release because we want to trigger this pipeline whenever our build pipeline is successful. So let's select as after release. You can add the artifact filters if you want to run this stage only from some particular branch. You can add it. Suppose I selected this artifact and I want to run this pipeline only from main branch. Okay, I can specify it here so that this pipeline or this stage will be triggered only from main branch whenever this pipeline is triggered. You can define each stage based on the artifact filter. Suppose you want to deploy, this is a development environment, and you want this stage to run only from the development branch. You can select the development here or feature here. And suppose you created another stage, let me clone this, and suppose this is this stage for production. You can just add, add the artifact filter branch as main branch, or maybe release branch, so that only from that branch your stage will be triggered. Okay, if you want to enable the schedule like how we had done it for build pipeline, you can enable it as well. So based on this schedule only, this pipeline will be triggered automatically. You don't need to trigger them. You don't need this schedule. If you want if you want to enable pull request deployment, you can enable this as well, but we don't need this as well. Okay, if you want to enable the pre-deployment approvals, so that before running this stage someone should go ahead and approve this pipeline, you can add the approvers here. Okay, suppose I added it. You can add the approval policy like a user requesting should not approve, skip approval if the same approver has approved the previous stage. You can, these are some self-explanatory, and you can add the pre-deployment approvals based on your requirement. Suppose you are creating the stage for production or something like that, you can enable it. I'll be doing it for the prod environment when I create it. Let's disable it inside this stage one. Okay, the next thing is gates. You can enable the gates, so that something if you want to check, generally gates check something in interval, suppose interval of 5 minutes or maybe 2 minutes. If you want to check something, you can enable the gates as well. Suppose you want to check the test runs, or if you want to check the status of change request from ServiceNow, you can check that as well. Okay, if you want to query the work item, if you want to invoke some REST API, you can do it from here. You can do it in the interval of 5 minutes. If you want to check some Azure function, that once this function is complete, then only this pipeline, this stage should run, you can do that. You can do basically multiple things in the gates. For example, like you can, if you select this ServiceNow change management, you can integrate this with ServiceNow, and suppose you have created one change request for development environment, you can check the status of change request as well from here, in the interval of 5 minutes, that my change request is approved or not. So that gates will check the status of change request in the interval of 5 minutes, that this change is approved or not, and only this will pass when this change ServiceNow change has been successfully approved. Then this gate will pass and it will allow your stage to run. So I just given one example of gates, like how you can implement it. Like this, if you have test results as well, suppose you uploaded your test result in ADO or somewhere else in some third-party tools, you can enable the gates and just get the status of those automation results in interval of 5 minutes. And suppose your criteria is met, if the automation result is more than 80%, then this gate should pass. Then it will be checking on the interval of 5 minutes or the time which you might have configured. And once that is complete, it will complete and it will be successful. Then only it will allow your stage to run. The next thing is deployment queue setting. You can change the parallel deployment settings, like when how many stages or how many releases of this pipeline should run at parallel. Okay, like deploy all in sequence or deploy latest and cancel the others. Maximum number of parallel deployments, suppose if you are keeping one, then only one release will be running at once. Suppose you just keep it 10, then 10 releases of this pipeline can be running or can run at once. Okay, so we just completed pre-deployment condition for a stage. Now just let's check the post-deployment conditions as well. Okay, so here in the post-deployment condition as well, we get the post-deployment approvals. We can add it here as well, so that someone should go, if someone has validated, and suppose if you have a manual testing team, they have validated this deployment, they have validated the development stage, and only if they approve it from here in the post deployment approvals, it should be allowed to deploy the QA stage. So you can add your QA team here in the post deployment approvals. Okay, like that, we get the option to add the gates as well here. Okay, so it should wait for something. Suppose you want now to deploy the QA environment, you can enable the gate to check if your service now change has been created for the QA environment or not. And only once the change has been created, this gate should allow your QA environment to run and proceed ahead. So you can enable the gate, or you can again check the automation test result of this stage, and if that automation test result is satisfactory or maybe more than 80%, you can allow this gate to proceed. Let's disable it. Now you can enable this auto redeploy trigger as well. Okay, suppose if you want to just re-trigger this pipeline, if some deployment has been failed, you can just re-trigger it automatically, so that if some deployment has failed because of some intermittent issue, it will go ahead and redeploy the stage again. Or maybe if you did some deployment or your latest deployment is unsuccessful, then this pipeline will deploy the older release automatically to store your environment. Okay, because of the stage failure or release failure. Okay, so like this you can auto redeploy the trigger as well. You can enable this setting as well. Let's disable it because we don't need it. So we completed this stage. This might be, suppose, your dev environment. This is my dev environment, and this is my QA environment. Okay, so dev QA is complete. And if you want to create another environment, that is, suppose, your UAT environment. Okay, and you want to run this QA and your UAT environment parallel, not in sequence. To do that, just select the open the pre-deployment conditions and just select the trigger here. So when you want to trigger this stage, instead of QA, just select the dev, so that whenever dev deployment is complete, it should trigger both QA and UAT environment. So these both environments should run in parallel. If you want to run UAT after QA, then you can just keep the QA in the dependencies, and if you want to run UAT and QA both in parallel, you can add the dev stage in dependency here in the trigger here for both QA and UAT environment. Okay, so now my pipeline is complete for three environments: dev, QA, and UAT, and the final environment should be prod. So let's create another one. Let's create clone this environment and change the name as prod. Suppose this is my prod environment, and now this prod should only run when both QA and UAT is complete and validated. So let's change the trigger here. Let's add the both QA and UAT, so that this prod should automatically run when both QA and UAT is complete. If any of the stage is not completed or failed, this prod will not be triggered. Okay, so generally this should be the criteria you can say. to run the prod. All the stages before production should be successfully completed. Okay, we have added the trigger successfully. Now, since this is production environment, we should add the approvals as well. Generally, this is recommended to add the pre-deployment approvals. So I just added the my name as pre-deployment approval. And let's now save this pipeline. We have added the pre-deployment approvals as well for prod environment, so that all the states should run automatically, and for prod environments it should ask my approval before the deployment. Okay, we are now ready to test this pipeline end to end. I just have saved this pipeline. Okay, so now what should happen? We now have all the things ready. We have the repository ready. We have the build pipeline ready, that is continuous integration. And we also have created the release pipeline, which will deploy our artifact into four environments: dev, QA, UAT, and prod. Okay, so we'll be testing this pipeline from scratch. Like whenever developer has made some change, suppose this is my feature branch, let's open this again and change something. So just add test again. Let's commit it. Before creating the pull request, let's see what should happen. So whenever when we will be creating the pull request, that should trigger my build pipeline automatically. This build pipeline should build the artifact and upload it. And once this is successfully complete, our release pipeline should be running automatically. If I go to releases and release pipeline demo, you can see there is no deployments right now. And whenever we merge the PR, it should create one release automatically, and it should start that release by itself. Okay, now let's go here and click on create a pull request. There is a merge conflict which we can resolve. I see merge conflict here. I'm not sure why. Generally, we get the option to resolve the merge conflict here, but we are not getting it. So let's remove this one for now. Let's create another branch from main and change it. Since this branch is updated, this will not ask us to change that or resolve the merge conflict. Let's add this again, test again, commit it, create a pull request to main branch. Let's create it. You can see it is checking for merge conflict and there are no merge conflicts. Okay, now we should be completing the PR into the main branch. Let's complete it. This is merging the pull request. We'll be checking in a minute. Let's open the build pipeline now. You can see one new run has started and this has been running. So like this, whenever developer will make the change or make or merge the PR into the main branch, if you are a DevOps engineer or a developer itself, your release pipe or your build pipeline, or you can say the continuous integration pipeline, should trigger automatically and build the code. Like in this case, this pipeline is triggered automatically and this has built the code. So this will serve the purpose of continuous integration. If you are not triggering the pipeline automatically, that is not the continuous integration. Okay, if you are triggering it manually, you can see that I mean that is not DevOps, or that is not you can say continuous integration. Okay, our build pipeline is complete. Now it should trigger the release pipeline as well. Now go ahead here, refresh this page, and you can see this is the release pipeline, and this is trigger right now. If you open it, okay, you can see this is triggered by a continuous deployment for Ramesh, and triggering time as well. This has selected this artifact 905.5, which was just created right now. You can see if you open it, you can see this is the artifact 905.5. Okay, this was selected here so that this will make sure that this artifact which is created right now only is being deployed. Okay, if you see it here in the artifact. Okay, so this artifact is deployed in dev environment as well. If you see the log, this has successfully deployed. Okay, once dev is complete, this triggered in QA and UAT as well. Both are successful. And once both are successful, you can see prod is waiting for approval because we had added the pre-deployment approvals. So like this, you should be following, I mean this practice generally, you should be adding the approvals in QA and UAT as well. Uh, but for demo purpose, I'm just adding the approvals in production. And only once you approve this prod environment, this should go ahead. You can cancel it as well if you don't want to approve it. So let's approve it. This stage is approved, and you can see this is now queued. Once this is complete, your pipeline will be complete and your whole release cycle will be complete. You can see the pre-deployment approvals is approved. You can see the view approval as well. And now your job is running. Okay, this has started running, and now production deployment is complete as well. So we build the code, we merge the code into main branch, we build the build pipeline, which enable the continuous integration and build and published our artifact. And this release pipeline picked that artifact and deployed in all the four environments. So generally, this is the release cycle followed by most of the organizations. And once this is deployed to the production environment, your testing and other team can take care of that to test the application in production and provide the sign off. So we just see how we can create the classic pipelines, both build and release. If you have to check the logs and all, you can click on logs and you can open this task and check all the logs for any particular task. You can download it as well. If you have to download the log, you can click on download all logs and deploy it, download it. If you have to deploy some stage again, you can manually deploy as well by clicking on this deploy and click on this deploy from here. If you have to edit it, edit the release to redeploy it. If you want to edit some parameters or if you want to disable some of the task before running the release, you can do that as well, and you can re-trigger that release. Okay, if you want to check the history, you can do it from here as well. And if you click on this pipeline, you can manage all the security permission and other things from here. If you want to provide permission only to some specific people on this pipeline, you can click on this security and add the permission from here. You can search the user and allow or deny the permission, like whatever permission you want to provide for this pipeline, you can do it from here. You can clone this pipeline, you can export this pipeline, you can disable and delete as well from here in this menu. If you want to open all the deployments, You can check all the from here. If you want to check the analytics of this pipeline, you can do it from here. Okay, so we have now covered each and everything about the classic pipelines. Other things like libraries, task group, these are used in both YAML and classic pipelines, which I have covered already. Or maybe in future videos, I'll be covering them separately as well. But for now, we have covered both classic build and release pipelines in detail, and we have seen starting from scratch, like whenever we merge the code in main branch, our build pipeline was triggered, and once build is complete, our release pipeline was triggered and deployed in all the environments. Okay, so that's it from this video. If you have any questions, feedback, or suggestion regarding it, please let me know in the comments. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a nice day.